What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Cultivation 3D Studio. In this episode, I'm showing you guys how I make the Yellow Ranger helmet from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Without further ado, let's get right into it. All right, guys, so to start this print off, we're going to go ahead and throw it in Orca Slicer. Now, when I measured my girlfriend's head, it came out to be 105% more than the original actual piece. But once everything's scaled out, go ahead and slice that, and you'll be soon ready for the prep. All right, so as every do 3D print comes, it comes in multiple pieces. So you got the helmet, and you have the little bits and pieces. You got the two eyes, the teeth, and the mouthpiece, as well as the back piece. The back piece came out super smooth, so let's go ahead and get this prepped and sanded. Yeah, so the first thing you're going to do, you're going to want to sand this whole thing down with 80 grit. We're going to do 3 passes. So we're going to do 80, 120, and then a single last pass of 220. Now, just a little bit of a backstory while I sand this. So the whole reason why I'm doing this is essentially because of my girlfriend. So our anniversary was coming up, and she walked in on me watching Power Rangers one day, and I was actually kind of going on a marathon of watching different Power Ranger series. And she was like, "Hey, let's take our anniversary photos in Power Ranger suits." And I was like, "Heck yeah!" And then I looked up how much a Power Ranger suit cost and the helmets, and yeah, they're pretty expensive. So I figured I can just buy a 3D printer and make one or two or three or all of them. So that's pretty much how we got here. Now, what I'm doing right now is just getting into the nooks and crannies with a regular sandpaper 80 grit. Again, everything is just to break down the layer lines so we can just have a smoother surface to paint on, essentially. The first layer is crucial, so make sure you take your time with that part. And this is how it should look after the 80 grit is done. And then we went ahead and did the 120 as well. All right, you are going to need some Bondo glazing putty and some acetone. Just mix that together. It's about a 3-to-1 ratio. So about 3 of the Bondo and then a couple of drops of acetone should make it like a muddy paste. After you're done, it should look just like this. And just make sure you get all the nooks and crannies just to make sure we have a completely smooth print. And then you're going to want to sand that down with 320 or 220. In this case, I just had the 320 at the time. Now, you're going to see in just a moment how it looks when it's done. It should look something like this. I went ahead and went over it again with a little bit of the glazing putty just to fill in some spots. Now, I did notice this huge crack that was in the print. I went ahead and did some filament welding or some PLA welding. Basically, you just grab some raw filament, and you're going to want to heat it up with either a ironing tool or a wood burning tool, and basically just melt that part into it, and it fills that gap just fine. Now here's the back completely done with the 80, the 120, and then we went ahead and did the same thing with the Bondo and the acetone. And this is how it looks when it's completely done. I didn't really need to touch anything up with the spot putty, but yeah, this is how everything looks when all the acetone and Bondo is shaven off. And then we're going to go ahead and do a duplicolor filler primer on the entire project. So just to make sure everything's completely smooth, I did about 2 or 3 coats on this one, waiting about 2 or 3 minutes between each coat. It should look something like this once you're done, and look how smooth that looks. I did also do a wet sanding after this, so you're gonna want to wet sand it with about I wet sanded it with 600. Now I did do something different on this one. I added some breathing holes for this one because I did notice when I put the green helmet on in my previous video, I couldn't really breathe in that one. So I definitely recommend putting some breathing holes in there. If you're going to be wearing these for long periods of time, you definitely need to have that breathing hole. You're just taking your mask off and on. I drilled about 6 holes evenly spaced out on the upper part of where the mouthpiece is going to go. Now I sprayed it with the flat white primer from the first video on the back and the front piece. This is how it should look. And I went over with the black on the mouthpieces. I did about 3 coats on this one as well. 3 coats on all the pieces for the white and the black. Now for the back of the helmet and the front of the helmet, I use the high gloss yellow ginger. It should look something like this around the first coats, and then it gets a little darker. I do apologize that I did not record myself doing the masking for the nose area like this, or the spray painting for the mouth and the teeth as well. But at the end, it should look something like this. I still use the same metallic aluminum for all the silver pieces, which is going to be the teeth, the mouth, and the piece of the nose that's on there. That for some reason I didn't record me masking. So I did mask it with the 3M tape. But here is the visor finish. As you can see, you can definitely still see through this stuff. So the welding mask visor in my last video is perfect for this. But that pretty much wraps up the entire video of the Yellow Ranger. So I did the buckles and everything in my previous video, so check that out as well if you want to know how to do those. Here's my girlfriend trying on the helmet just to make sure it does fit her, because if this did not fit her, we would have been out of luck for sure. But this came out perfect. Here's the final product. I did also make the weapons for the Yellow Ranger and the Green Ranger, which I can definitely make another video if you guys want. But here's some awesome photos of me and my girlfriend for our anniversary photos. This is what it was all for. These came out amazing. The photographer was great. I also made the dragon shield out of EVA foam. Super fun, but very hard to use. So I'll probably just print another one. But thank you guys so much for sticking to the end of the video to see these funny photos of me and my girlfriend. We also went to the Texas Renaissance Festival on Heroes and Villains weekend just to showcase the work. But stay tuned for the next episode, as I will be working on the Black Ranger.